Hey guys, it's Liza
and Justin,
and we're gonna review the movie Bird Box. So today we're gonna review the movie Bird Box. Both Justin and I watched it. It's so big on social media right now, so of course we had to check it out.
jump in on that bandwagon.
Oh yeah, hashtag Bird Box. I fail at life.
I mean, in general, it's not terrible. Obviously, there's much worse movies out there, but to me, it was not a very good movie. It was very all over the place, and the monsters I did not enjoy the monsters. Anything about the monsters, really.
I actually liked it. I'm not gonna say I went in there with the mentality that it wasn't trying to win an Oscar, so I already went there with the thought process that I just want to be entertained. I don't need to be seeing like Academy writing or Academy like filmmaking. It was just, was I entertained? And at the end of the day, I enjoyed it. I don't think it was like the best film of the year, but it was definitely entertaining.
I mean, to me, horror movies are never really the Oscar movies. They never are.
But yeah.
There are a lot of horror movies out there that do this premise better.
Okay, do you have a suggestion? So let's get into some of the...
You know what? I'm going to make this comparison right now. Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger.
He's done it better. You can't sleep. If you sleep, he's going to get you.
But what is it like specifically? Was it just that you felt that it just didn't do horror justice?
It did not do... See, to me,
I don't think it was meant to be horror. I think it was meant to be suspenseful. And that's the
I don't even think it did suspense. One thing they did that I thought was very good was the psychopath that got into the house.
Yeah, that was a good
At first, I was like, duh. He's gonna be...
It's been too long. It was way too long to have somebody just show up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That was like,
okay,
that should have been a given.
Yeah. No. So, he came in, I was like, he's obviously a psychopath. And then he started hanging around for a little while. I didn't forget about him, but he was kind of pushed to the side. He wasn't the forefront of the conversation anymore. Once he put the record on, I was like, oh, okay, so I was right to begin with. I was right.
Yeah.
I knew it. But his character, I think, was... For the short amount of time he was in there, I think he was one of the best characters.
He really was. I actually really enjoyed his character a lot. But I felt like just the way that they shot that whole scene in general, it was very obvious that something menacing was about him. Mm-hmm. So it was very clear that the director had a clear vision about how they wanted to portray his character. And I genuinely think he was one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite scenes. So at the very beginning, I found it very strange. It was so weird that the doctor was just like, oh, you have first-time mom dramas, or you're nervous, you could always give your kid up for adoption. Wasn't that a little weird that she was just like, oh, if you're concerned, here's an adoption pamphlet. I thought that was a little bizarre, but I know what they're trying to get at. They're trying to be a little expositional and kind of give us that
a little
expositional? She's
the entire first 20 minutes.
Try the word again. Try it again.
Expositional?
Oh, you got it.
Oh, sorry, did I say it wrong? Okay, all right.
Give us that she's
The first 20 to 30 minutes of the movie was exposition.
It was all exposition. It's so bizarre. I tell my friends all the time, I have so many weird coincidences constantly happen. And it happened to me because I just watched the movie Dumpling on Saturday. Okay. And literally on Sunday, I watched Bird Box, and that girl's in it. I'm like, what are the chances of that? That's my life. I always do that, but I don't know if you watched the movie Dumpling.
I mean, I feel like you're looking at coincidences that...
No, it happened. I'm telling you. You want to talk about coincidences? I'll tell you some coincidences. But I've had some weird ones, and I'm convinced it's something that the world's telling me something, whatever it is.
Is it a coincidence?
A coincidence?
So in the supermarket, they were the only ones who had the keys. They had transportation to and from the house, and
why did Charlie have the keys, by the way?
Because he locked it up.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, there was another piece of expedition. Apparently, you were paying attention.
I put up fairly attention. Is he a manager at the store?
No,
he just locked.
He was the one locking up the store that day.
Okay. All right. That's not kind of store around here.
So the one thing you guys you learned that there are people out there who are immune potentially. Apparently they didn't learn that until much later, really. They learned that nobody else was in that supermarket and all of the food was still there and good. And they learned that they could drive the car down the street without any issues whatsoever.
Did you watch the movie? They had issues. They had issues. They were running over dead bodies.
Tell me
and then
what
there was
issues.
like a weird random thing that was like haunting their car. That was issues.
And what did it do?
They got away.
Nothing, because
But
the
they got
monsters
away.
are crap. Because
You can't see them.
no, the monsters are crap because they can't take out windows, they can't take out doors, they can't go through walls,
So
they can't do anything. I'm sorry, this part pisses me off because everyone is praising this movie for all these things. I'm like,
No one's
but
praising it. They're just saying it's a decent
all right,
movie.
people are saying it's a good movie,
Little
but
dramatic.
it's like a psychological horror movie with a monster. With a monster, and the monster is terrible.
It's not that
The
terrible.
monster is
terrible. It's
terrible.
not meant to be like a Freddy Krueger monster. It's meant to be that fear, and that's why I think it's gonna go into like what our interpretation of
Okay.
everything was. But it wasn't meant to be a monster you can see. Like they generally
I don't
didn't want
wanna
you.
see the
It
monster.
They didn't want.
I don't want to see the monster. I want a monster who can actually mess with you.
But the purpose wasn't to kill you. Even the creature, I don't feel like necessarily wanted to kill you. I think it's the fact that you didn't accept the creature that he said, okay, if you don't want to do it my way, then see you later. And that's kind of
See, my thing
the
was,
way I took it.
it was all mental game. So it wasn't that when you see the creature, when you see the creature, you see one of two things. You see either your worst fear or you conquering your worst fear.
Yeah.
And the whole psychopath thing version of it, or psychosis, or whatever the heck it happened to be, those people didn't either they didn't have a fear or they conquered their fear in some
think so?
way. By not being stable, they were able to take what they saw and be like, yeah, no, I'm taking myself above that.
Yeah. But generally, overall, the film had a strong message, at least from what I took from it. I thought that Sandra Bullock was absolutely phenomenal in it. She's just so fantastic. I don't think there's anything that she can do wrong by me because I just love Sandra Bullock. So let's go into like interpretations of what you felt the message was trying to be conveyed. Because I have like a really, and I could be really off the cuff because I tend to overanalyze things too much. So I may be way off the mark here, but I have like a theory on what I think they're trying to portray in this film. So what do you think the message was generally? Because it definitely was a message. They were trying to tell us something, or at least teach us something. Do you want me to go first?
I feel like they watched a bunch of suspenseful horror movie stuff and just tried to recreate it without putting any thought into the monster or the world that they were creating.
So he's reading off his notes. That's what you got out of it. That's it.
Yep.
So you didn't feel like there was anything, like any message that was being conveyed, or any like feelings you got out of what they were trying to tell you through it. No.
No.
I mean, I've seen. Go ahead.
I can see they were trying for something, but it just never came across clearly. I feel like every person had their distinct niche, or however you want to say it, I don't know, their distinct place in the society that they created, and then you just watched them all die.
So I kind of feel like they had to rely on these birds that were in a box to be their, like, essentially their eyes and ears. So they had to trust these birds to tell them that, hey, there's a monster around, right? So I was like, what if those birds were like Twitter? It's like your social media, right? We rely so heavily on social media to be like our eyes and ears for everything, and we put so much faith in what social media says is the standard of living and what's beautiful. And the few people who don't want to live that way, who want to be blindfolded, are the ones that end up being outcast to the point where they feel their life is not worthy enough or it's not good enough. So they essentially have this complex of social media is telling me my life needs to be this way. I don't want to listen to it, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's draining. It's making me depressed almost, like to the point where people are taking their lives over it.
I mean, I can kind of see what you're saying, because at the beginning with the whole where she's a painter, which never came up again, actually, now that I think about it.
You can tell she's like, yeah.
But the whole, well, no, not even that. Like, they actually make comments at the beginning, I believe, something along the lines of, this person looks so alone, and then she's like, no, it's a lack of connecting, and loneliness is just a side effect or whatever.
I didn't even think of that. It links.
I can see something like that, but
So,
personally, I don't think that's where they're going with the movie, because this is based on a book as well, which apparently a lot of people don't know about.
I didn't know about the book either, to be honest with you. And then
I haven't read the book personally, so
Yeah.
I don't know what the actual message of the book was, but I feel like the book would have been a lot more interesting.
Probably. And I didn't know about the book, and I definitely don't mean just specifically social media. Like, I was like, oh, the birds could be like Twitter, like, you know, they're blue birds too, so it's even. But I could have just overanalyzed. I tend to do that with films. I'm just like, the director's trying to convey something. You're like, what are they trying to convey? And that's what I got out of it, because you really have these people who you almost become outcasts. You almost have to be an outcast if you're not somebody who's so willing to live on social media, because you only, like, that only becomes people's source of communication nowadays, or source of socializing has just become social media. And that's why those psychos or those zombies who are outside, they're embracing it. And they're like, look at it, it's beautiful, I'm going to embrace it with everything. And those people who don't want to embrace it are in captivity, essentially, because they're not being able to have that level of socialness that people, or even, is it really social at this point? It's not. It's electronic connection.
I could see where you're coming from.
Do you get what I'm saying? That's what I kind of took from it. I was like, I feel like it's definitely along the lines of, we are blinded by this need to live under this blanket of what society is today, which is just obsession with looks and wealth and making yourself look better to other people. And that's basically what social media is, essentially. Like, it's so beautiful. The guy's like, look, it's so beautiful. Just look at it. Look. And he's just like, I don't want to accept it. I don't want to accept that. And he's just like, you know what? So I don't know. So that's my interpretation of it. I mean, I could be like way off, and people are going to be like, you're insane, Liza. Like, where'd you come up with that? But that's how I felt. It came out of it feeling like, I think I get where this director's going. I could have been way off, but we'll see. Like the psycho guy who came in the house and murdered everyone.
Let me know if you hated the monsters too. I thought they were a waste of time.
You can't see, I love the fact that you can't see the monsters, because
I'm okay again, but it's not seeing the monsters.
I love the fact that you can't see them and you don't know what their purpose is, essentially, because that's kind of.
But I don't care about that either.
Okay.
My problem is their inconsistency.
Okay.
They can jump on a car, but they can't break a window.
Yeah. But
they can mess with leaves, they can hit leaves and run through the forest, but they can't touch you. They can't.
But isn't that what social media is like, though? Like, just like the internet world. Like, you don't get into it until you physically make the choice, conscious decision to go into it, right? So if you choose not to go into it, you don't have to interact with the situation. But if you step outside, you're making a conscious decision to be like, I want to be a part of this. So you take on that risk. I don't know. I think I think it's just poignant. I think that makes sense. So that's our review on Bird Box. Whether you want to call that a review or a rant, whatever, it might be more of a rant than it was a review, mostly on Justin's part. But let us know in the comments what you guys thought about the movie. The movie's doing so well right now, whether it's because people actually like it or they're just so fascinated by the fact that everybody's watching it. What were your thoughts on Bird Box? How did you interpret what the movie was trying to say? Did you have a favorite scene? A favorite person? So thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Give us other movies to watch.
Yeah.
I'll probably hate those too.
He probably will. He's so critical. All right, see you guys later. Bye. I can't believe you just hated on this movie so bad.
I don't know. I went into it thinking it was more like a horror movie, and it really
Yeah?
it was not what I